Namaste and welcome to the Transformation Immersion's mega series on holistic wellness. I'm your host Sonal Singhal, a techie turned holistic healer and a transformational coach. I welcome Dr. Lulu Shimek as our guest speaker of today. Dr. Lulu is a naturopathic physician and expert in genetic health. She works with the clients experiencing chronic diseases and help them to heal and elevate their lives by harnessing the healing power of plants and mineral medicine. She is also a founder of an alternative medicine clinic under name Dr. Lulu Naturopathic Clinic, and she
Mhm.
also runs a podcast, The Genetic Genius. So, Dr. Lulu, welcome again. Uh,
Thank you for having me.
And you mentioned in your bio that you studied interior design at the University of Georgia.
I
Now,
did.
yeah, and after
Seems
that,
like so long ago, but yes, I did.
yeah. So now I wonder, after that degree, what happened that you chose to become a naturopathic doctor and leave your
Right.
profession?
A little different path, right? Sure. Yeah. So, I always had this really big love for health and healthy cooking. And
Mhm.
so when I finished my undergrad, I decided to move to New York City to go to a cooking school where I could learn a lot about natural health and cooking. But that didn't work out. But I still moved to New York, but I didn't go to school. So I left New York and then I went to live at a yoga retreat center called the Expanding Light in Nevada City, California.
Mhm.
And I lived there and I did a yoga teacher training.
Mhm.
And I cooked, I worked in the kitchen. So I learned all about vegetarian cooking and healthy foods.
Mhm.
And then I left there and I started my own um, catering company doing healthy cooking in San Francisco. Um, then I'm this is like the long story. Then a little like down the road, I went to massage school. I learned
Mhm.
how to be a massage therapist, and so I kind of like was combining those two things together. And I really wanted to help people in a new and profound way in learning about the disease that was kind of the root cause of what was going on, and really to help them with alternative methods. So then I started looking for alternative medical schools, and that's where I
Mhm.
found Bastyr University.
Mhm.
And then attended their medical program there. So that's kind of the shorter version. But yeah, the interior design, I still have a huge love of the arts, and I incorporate it in my own way, but not necessarily with helping patients.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think you are truly like a holistic expert, holistic wellness expert in that way.
Right. Yeah. I think it's in my DNA.
Yeah. So, now coming to the title of this talk on pandemic stress, what
Hmm.
challenges do you see and feel that we currently are facing and will continue to face in the long term?
Right. That's a great question. So when we've been facing the pandemic since, March,
Mhm.
which is a long time for the planet to be under such stress, and we're still under it. Things are still they're not maybe at the height, but we're still
Mhm.
experiencing it at a broad level.
Mhm.
And so when the body is under that long-term stress, which is you're in that sympathetic mode, which means the nervous system is in a fight or flight mode.
Mhm.
And so your body is like running from the bear, which we don't really have that anymore,
Mhm.
right? So you can see we're running from the pandemic, trying to deal with it the best we can. So then your body feels like it's in this state where all it's doing is having to run from fear.
Mhm.
So when we're in that state, which is an elevated place of cortisol, so cortisol is our natural stress hormone,
Mhm.
but when that stress hormone then becomes elevated and doesn't ever get a break, then we see all parts of the system start to be affected. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. And so the long term effect of having that elevated cortisol can be all different types of things. You can have brain, not damage, but change in cognition and memory. You can have hormone changes. You can have weight gain. You can have changes in your metabolism. Your immune system is affected. Your sleep is affected. Your blood sugar is affected. So there's many things. So it's like the system starts to have the alarm go off, right? Like ding, 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 you need to pay
Mhm.
attention.
Mhm.
Something's happening. But instead of going into a parasympathetic mode, the rest and digest, our body doesn't have a break. And so then it just, the roller coaster keeps on going.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is we are not used to it. We are not used to stay inside our homes. Now, I mean, for few months we were thinking, okay, we can survive like this, but now I think it's becoming too much. So,
Right. Yeah. People are like, I can't do this anymore. Right. Which is that it's the same thing, the nervous system. It's just like basically you need to have an off switch. So it's great to bring things on the foundational level that can help reduce the stress.
Mhm. So, like, what are the techniques or methods do you propose to thrive this pandemic stress situation? Because we already survived it.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we're still surviving.
Yeah.
I think that we're maybe living in a new normal, but
Mhm.
I don't think it's quite until people can have a sense of peace with their family and friends and in their social life, I don't think people will feel that sense of relief, right? And I think that's a big part of it, is just having that sense of not normalcy, but some sense of normalcy
Mhm.
come back into the picture. Yeah, did I answer your question? What was the first part of it? Sorry.
I asked you for the techniques and methods
Oh,
for,
techniques.
yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so there's lots of different techniques or methods that can help manage stress. So let's talk about first like the nervous system.
Mhm.
So meditation is a great one. Some kind of mindfulness practice
Mhm.
is huge because
Mhm.
you need to have the space in your brain to
Mhm.
create more space of relaxation,
Mhm.
right? And so even if you're someone that has never meditated before, you can still practice with just having a space of silence or relaxing music or a yoga practice, something where you can tune out the outside world and tune into the inside world, where
Mhm.
hopefully there's still some sense of peace
Mhm.
and calm up in
Yeah.
the inside. So that's a big one that I'm really recommending to patients, is to have some, go to that self-care place. And if you're so wound up inside that you're not able to do that, just take baby steps and seek out a health practitioner to help kind of balance that.
Mhm.
And so another big part of the foundation would be exercise. So a lot of people haven't been able to have that same, exercise routine. And exercise is proven to reduce stress and cortisol levels. So even if you're not able to get outside, which is a huge part of being in nature, really helps us to
Mhm.
revive and reduce stress. So if you can't do that, then at least do some kind of exercise program within your environment. Like,
Mhm.
I like to do different like YouTube videos with yoga or cardio, something where you're increasing your circulation,
Mhm.
because the other aspect of high stress is it changes our detox pathways and
Mhm.
detox mechanisms, right? And so we want to make sure that we are having a good route of elimination so those toxins don't build up. So exercise is another really important
Mhm.
one. Of course, hydration is key.
Mhm.
Drinking water is so important. It not just only helps us to detox, right? It helps our natural elimination routes, but it also hydrates everything. Our brain needs water, right? Our brain needs to be able to function and be hydrated, to have the neurons activated, our muscles and joints. And we're having a lot of time, sitting more
Mhm.
now as we're at the computers and doing
Yeah.
those. And so doing some type of hydration helps the muscles and the joints to be more active. It also helps to have natural elimination through the kidneys and through the digestive system. So
Mhm.
I think that's another key component there. And of course, I would say like the fourth, there's probably like five foundations to the house. Of
Mhm.
course, there's a lot. I would say the fourth one is really healthy sleep. When we have an elevated stress, our sleep hygiene kind of goes down the tubes, right? Because our body doesn't have that ability to turn off the ruminating thoughts at night. And I think that's one of the most common things that my patients have been talking about, is they're suffering from insomnia because they have so much to think about. How are they going to help their family? How are they going to go to work? How are they going to make a healthy dinner? How are they going to deal with the kids that are at school now in their house?
Mhm.
All the different things. So there are different ways to help with a regular sleep pattern, but making sure I guess the key for that, if you're having really bad insomnia, is of course to seek out a health practitioner to bring in some sleep, like herbs are great for sleep, but also turning off screens, having a no screen time. I say at least an hour before bed. No TV, no Wi-Fi, no cell phones, nothing where you're interacting, because it doesn't allow your brain to decompress, right? To just finally have that moment of relaxation. And the fifth one would be healthy food. And healthy food is so key right now for, giving your body this sense of nourishment. And when your body is in a state of stress, it's easy for that to fall off, right? So it's easy to turn to foods that aren't nourishing, but are easy to, I guess you could say, a comfort food. A lot of people have a comfort food, and that could be, carbs, or that could be sugar, or that could be alcohol, or it could be caffeine, so reducing things that add extra stress on your body and just eating more of a whole foods, lots of veggies and fruits is really key as well.
You mentioned about adaptogenic herbs for energy and
Yeah.
also nutraceuticals to optimize cellular function. What are these?
Yeah, great question. So adaptogenic herbs are herbs in general get kind of put into different categories, and adaptogenic herbs help our body to adapt to stress. So they're the key herbs to bring into, whether you're going to use them as a tea, or you're going to use them as a powder, or as a tincture, elixir. They're so key right now to helping the body to have resiliency, especially because they help with cognition. They help balance hormones. They help with brain function, helping the body to decrease stress. So they're key, and I've been advising patients to really taking them on a daily basis right now to really help support the system. And there's so many different ones, but my favorite ones right now are ashwagandha, holy basil, and rhodiola. Those are the three premier ones that I think are so key for helping with the pandemic.
What is the third one you said? Ashwagandha, holy basil, and
Oh, and rhodiola.
rhodiola. Okay.
Rhodiola. Yeah,
So
it looks like it's a beautiful plant with these yellow flowers. It's just gorgeous.
So how do you consume those? Like you get like pills form, or essential oil form, or like what form?
Yeah, so there's a couple different forms you can use with herbs. The easiest form is a tea, right? And so ashwagandha doesn't taste the best, but I like it. But if you want to, you can always mix something with a different herb. So, but ashwagandha and holy basil or tulsi and rhodiola, you can drink all of those as a tea. Also, you could buy them in a powder form, like in a capsule. And take those. Now, the only thing I like to tell patients is when you take something as a capsule, it has to go through the whole system, right? To be able to absorb. So it's not usually my go-to as far as herbs, because when they go into your mouth, your body immediately absorbs them. So the tea is better. Tincture is the best form. So that would be when it's combined with an alcohol to extract the medicine, and then you take it with in an alcohol form, a tincture form, or an elixir form. So those are like the three main methods that I usually recommend. And you can purchase those in a regular health food store or from a wellness practitioner. They're very easy to find.
The tincture form I never heard of.
You've never heard of the tincture form?
Is it like homeopathic remedy?
No, homeopathic is completely different. That would, tincture is made from usually an alcohol. So sometimes you'll heard it called a liquid extract. That's some can be common verbiage for it. So they take the fresh or dried form of the herb, and then it's mixed with alcohol, and that could be Everclear or vodka or brandy. And then you let that sit for 4 to 6 weeks, and then it's strained, and then you have the leftover liquid, and then that's the medicine.
Oh, okay. It's like a extract. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about nutraceuticals?
So nutraceutical, that's a vitamin or a mineral. And those are really important to help our body during times of stress, especially B vitamins. They're so key because B vitamins help the neurons in the brain, right? And so they really help give us energy. They also help support the adrenal gland. So the adrenal gland is the aspect of right above our kidneys. It's the organ that really helps us deal with stress. So it has lots of different aspects. It helps with the glucocorticoids, which balance glucose. It helps with cortisol. It helps balance your blood sugar. It helps balance the kidneys with blood pressure. And then we also have our sex hormones and adrenaline, epinephrine. I mean, there's so many different aspects of this little tiny organ. And so the B vitamins are so key. I would say if you're out of all the nutraceuticals or supplements, that's a great, taking a B complex is so important and key for helping the brain, because that's really common when you're in stress. You can think about if you have 8,000 thoughts running through your brain, then your body says, well, I can't think about that. Like it's too much, right? Overload. And so B vitamins basically, they help turn on the processes or the parts of the brain that help activate to help us have a better cognition. It's like sorting through the fuzz or the cloud or the haze, right? So it says like, okay, I can do this task. I have the clarity. I can do this task. I have the clarity. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, doctor, do you practice any other modalities of healing apart from naturopathy?
Other aspects of
Other
medicine
modalities.
besides naturopathic medicine. So yes and no. So naturopathic medicine is a big bubble, like our big umbrella for lots of different modalities. So within that specifically, like I'm very high trained in herbal medicine. So herbalism, also aromatherapy, physical medicine, which would be hands-on healing, energy work, massage, chiropractic work, homeopathic medicine, like you mentioned, that's also under our umbrella, also diet and nutrition. So there's lots of things within that I practice. Did I answer your question fully there?
Yes. And doctor, I think you facilitate, and actually I don't think it is like that you facilitate ceremonies around the world to elevate planetary consciousness and community. Would you like to tell us about what these ceremonies are?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So one of my biggest passions is working with plants. And I do that here where I live in Asheville, North Carolina. I work at a farm. I'm the medicinal plant director. And, you know, when we think about how plants are on our planet, they have so much information and healing and energy to give us, right? From food to medicine, they're both connected. And those plants are connected through the layers of the earth, right? They communicate in a way we probably will never understand, but even through like the waving of a leaf or the root connecting underground, right? So if my goal and one of my passions is to go to different areas around the world and have a healing ceremony there to help the area, to help the people, to help the community, to have them connect back into the plants and like, you know, ignite the passion within their community, to bring that plant medicine and that healing back through the community. It's almost like, you know, planting the seed, right? And so that allows, you can think of the web as we have the World Wide Web through how we're speaking here, right? So our communication, the plants are the same way. So a ceremony then kind of reignites the healing power within the plants and allows that community to be connected to other communities around the world.
Actually, I always thought about plants, you know, like we say that we are more conscious than other creatures or plants, you know, or animals, but I feel plants are the most conscious, most sensitive also.
Yeah, I mean, they have so many ways that they communicate and function, right? Through the sun. They have so many different things that ignite within them, and they're so flexible because they can adapt. And I think looking to them as a way to help us adapt to the pandemic is really key, which is, you know, how the adaptogenic herbs, as I was talking about earlier, they help us to adapt, to be more resilient, to function more easily in this time of stress.
Yeah, I feel they are like plants are very much giving, you know, and we are always like on the taking side, but they are
Right.
always giving.
Yeah, well, we have to get back to them too, because, you know, and I think that's the other thing that we've seen is reviving of the planet now during this time. We have less pollution, we have more birds, we have, you know, and more sunlight, everything. And we can see that how happy the planet is. And that's a big part of the plant community.
So, Doctor, you have co-authored a book with title Plant and Vibrational Medicine for Energy, Mood and Love.
Mhm.
I wonder, like, what inspired you to write this book and what is it all about?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so the book, Detox, Nourish, and Activate Plant and Vibrational Medicine for Energy, Mood, and Love. So, energy, mood, and love is the three systems, which I'll talk about. And the detox, nourish, and activate, DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So, those are the three letters for
Mm-hmm.
DNA. And so, the basis of the book is to help revive the system from the cellular level
Mm-hmm.
using different modalities. So in the book, there's the modalities of plant medicine, aromatherapy,
Mm-hmm.
crystal medicine, food and nutrition, meditation, mudras. So there's all these different modalities that help to heal the cells of the body at the DNA level.
Mm-hmm.
And then the energy, mood, and love are the three systems that are covered in the book. The energy is the adrenal glands, which I was just talking about with the adaptogens and helping us deal with stress.
Mm-hmm.
Mood is the brain, so the entire nervous system is addressed. And then love is the heart. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all about these three. If you know about the chakra system, which is
Mm-hmm.
discussed in the book, these three systems are like connected on a pillar, right? And so when we activate those three systems,
Mm-hmm.
they enable the body to be activated at a different level. So the book really goes through each system, working through modalities to help readers to really revive their body,
Mm-hmm.
and to do that it's in ways that they might not have ever worked with or heard about. And the book has lots of exercises to really help you go deep in your thought process
Mm-hmm.
about trauma is a big one and a big piece throughout the book, because trauma is related a lot to illness. And so there's questions about throughout the book, like, have you experienced trauma? How has it affected your life?
Mm-hmm.
What areas is it, oozing out into? Like for the adrenal glands, the energy part of the book, is your energy decreased? Why is it decreased? What's happening in your life? Why are you so fatigued? So there's lots of different ways to help the readers to think about their life.
So, Doctor, as you are an expert in genetic health, I want to
Mhm.
know your opinion on genetic diseases.
Mm.
Do you think that it is possible to cure them with the help of vibrational remedies?
Definitely. Yeah. So when we think about our body as, well, let's talk about the first part. So we're born with a specific DNA, right? Our code within, and every
Mm-hmm.
person is different. It's our genetic makeup,
Mm-hmm.
but we do have different DNA that we bring in from our mothers and our fathers and our whole line of lineage, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we're born with that genetic blueprint, not everything is activated within the system. Some things might be turned off, some things might be turned on, but we have the ability to shift those. And the reason that someone might have a genetic disease is because of that mutation, right? And so or not even necessarily a genetic disease, but a dysfunction in the system because something's not turned on, or they have a mutation or a malfunction in the genetic makeup.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, if we think about the light form or a photon or the cell as a being, as a being of light, right? It's just like if you think of a flashlight on your phone, this is a beam of light. And so if we think about the cells, and this is going back to the book as well, the cells are able to shift and change based on the vibration of light going into them. And you can think of that, just like when you're drinking a glass of water, right? If you're drinking a pure water form, your body then absorbs that water and uses it in a way that's helpful, as opposed to if you drank something like a polluted water, right? The energy and vibration of that water is completely different. So when we use different modalities, like for instance, herbal medicine, the body is then able to recognize that herb at a cellular level and shift the cells and activate the DNA through different areas of the body that have been turned off. And because the plant medicine, like we were talking about earlier, has this long history and since the beginning of time, those plants have been on the planet, and their knowledge of helping with our DNA is very valuable. they're able to communicate in a very different way. So when we're able to, it's not like you can just, I don't know, drink peppermint tea and then automatically have your genetic makeup shift. I'm not talking about that.
Mhm.
I'm talking about, more specific work. So it's a combination of using different modalities, but also being conscious. It's not,
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm going to be using this and I want to shift myself and shift my DNA and turn on the DNA so that I'm able to move, what's the, I can't remember the exact number, that we only use a small percentage of our brain, right?
Mhm.
So it's the
5%,
same,
yeah.
it's the same thing with our genetic makeup. We're not using all of our DNA because we're not ready, I guess.
Mhm.
Right. And so we can shift the DNA, we can shift out of a disease just with the proper tools,
Mhm.
right? We just have to have the tools.
Yeah, that's correct. So
Mhm.
tools do you use?
Right. Yeah. So throughout the book, the tools that I talk about with the readers how to use. So herbal medicine, I
Mhm.
talk about specific herbs in the book. Aromatherapy, so
Mhm.
essential oils, how you can
Mhm.
use, that's through the limbic system, so powerful for
Mhm.
shifting the DNA. And, that's a great one for us to, it's easy for listeners to understand, because when you smell something, just think
Mhm.
about like a memory. Like if you smelled, I don't know,
Yeah.
a beautiful flower, and you're immediately taken to that memory in time. Well, that's
Mhm.
exactly when you had the shift. So if you can think, that's how the power of plants, the power of aromatherapy can help us shift. Because when we remember something, it gives us the opportunity at that moment in time to jump forward or to shift. Like,
Mhm.
oh, this was a beautiful memory, or maybe it was a memory that caused pain,
Mhm.
and then when we recognize it and open up to it, we can shift. So
Mhm.
those are big ones. Using the animals. So I talk a lot about animal energy in the book. So the animals are a very interesting aspect of the book, because most people don't think of maybe animals as a way that we can use healing, right? But
Mhm.
animals around the planet have so much healing, and they're have their vibration, the way that they communicate, but just their energy. If you think about, like, I don't know, what would be a good example? Like the energy of an elephant, right?
Mhm.
So the elephant is so huge and so gentle and so calm and
Yeah.
so powerful. And if we think about that energy, we can emanate that, or we
Mhm.
can we can have that energy. So just like having a picture of the elephant in your room, even,
Mhm.
you can feel that power behind you. So
Mhm.
animals are a big aspect of the book for helping us to open up and shift, because when we ask them for help, they respond.
Mhm. Yeah.
It just depends on whether we're listening, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
um and so also in the book there's meditations. So meditation is a really, as I talked about earlier, is a really key way to help to open your body, mind, and spirit. And so there's different affirmations in the book to really help and open up those three systems: the brain, the adrenals, and the heart,
Mhm.
because those are so key. When we use a meditation, it allows us, like, say you're going to have an affirmation today of like, I open my heart to receive and let everything in. Maybe that was your affirmation for the day, and you might feel a little bit different throughout the day. Maybe when you talk to your friends and family, you are more open or more receptive.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like setting up intentions, affirmations
Mm-hmm.
are like, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Doctor, would you like to share with us any client case that you found challenging, but still you got success?
Sure. Yeah. Let's see. Let me think of a good one. Um, I have so many. I think the one of the main things that I won't go into like a specific, but when I think food allergies are really easy for people
Mhm.
to understand, and I can
Mhm.
give like a kind of a specifics around
Mhm.
that. So I had a patient who came in, and they had been having extreme skin issues,
Mhm.
rashes and very red face, and so they couldn't even work because it was
Mhm.
so challenging and so
Mhm.
extreme. And so we did an elimination diet,
Mhm.
which is where you eliminate all of the main trigger
Mhm.
foods, which is
Mhm.
sugar and corn and wheat and eggs, dairy, main
Mhm.
our main
Mhm.
ones. So we did an elimination of those foods, And then we did a testing. So testing of the DNA to see specific genes that might be affecting the allergic activity or like food sensitivity, like celiac. And then we also did a food allergy test to see if there were specific foods. And the strangest foods came up, like lettuce and strawberries, things that you don't really think that you're like always allergic to, and garlic. There was just just some, and coconut, just different strange ones. So we then eliminated the trigger foods, the ones that were causing the reactions, and then helped support the body with elimination and detoxification. And the reactions went away. So it was all food related, and
but who will expect that somebody has coconut allergy or lettuce?
I know, right? Right.
Lettuce.
Very strange. Yeah. And she would have never figured that out on her own, right? Because it's not something you would think about. So, that's one thing when you really get down to the root of, what's really causing the problem, and looking at what we take in is so important, right? It can be an environmental allergy. Lots of people have allergies to the environment around the plants and pollen, or fragrances, or heavy metals, or it can be, something aluminum. It can be all kinds of different things. And I think with our sensitivity levels, because we have a lot more things we're affected with now, affected by in the environment, more things all the time, right? Especially when we're talking about pollution. So our bodies have to have a more elevated system for detoxification. It's just more important, I think, that when we used to, because our body, those levels build up and become higher. We need to have the ability more on a daily basis. And of course, water is a great way to hydrate and detox, but I usually recommend patients doing like a quarterly detox every 3 months. It doesn't have to be something huge, but maybe even just a day of fasting for 12 hours, where you're just allowing your body to have the ability to just take a break and to detox.
I think you are giving us a freebie also for on liver detoxing.
Yeah, liver detoxification is so key, so key.
So would you like to tell us like what is there in this freebie, like these five step?
Oh yeah, totally. Yes. So in the liver detox PDF or ebook that the listeners are going to receive, it's a great way to have the simple things. So I talk about the herbs that are great for helping to open up the liver. Let's talk about the function of the liver first. Let's just backstrap there. So the liver is so key. One, all the blood in our system circulates back through the liver. It's our cleaner, right? And so if we don't have a liver that's functioning properly, we can't make good cholesterol. So cholesterol is so key because it makes our hormones. So that's one of the really important things when we're talking about from the female perspective. When my patients will come in with hormonal problems, I always look at the liver. Are you making cholesterol? How are you making good cholesterol? Are you able to transform that into a process that, the cholesterol into hormones that you can use? So the liver is really key. It does a lot more functions as well. It helps with our blood sugar balance. And also it helps our heart, because everything has to circulate back. So if the liver is not functioning, also we think about digestion. It works with the gallbladder and the pancreas to help our digestive process. So if the liver is not functioning, everything starts to kind of fail. But a lot of people don't think about the liver as the key. So in this handout or the ebook, I talk about the functions of the liver, simple things you can do to help recharge your liver, to get it back on track with foods, nutrition, herbs, and different daily practices.
So, thank you, Dr. Lulu, for coming on the Transformation Immersion. And I think you have given a lot of information to our viewers.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite valuable, I mean, if somebody sees it properly, then definitely there is lot of takeaways from this interview.
Yeah.
A big thank to our viewers for watching this series. Do let us know about today's interview on my Facebook group, Body, Mind, and Soul Healing. Stay safe but stay in touch virtually. Take care and bye bye.